Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneur Experts Cafe, sponsored by Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel. I'm Kimberly Crow, your host and the creator of the Facebook community Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel, a community by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, helping entrepreneurs and experts get their business to the next level. Come join the community and the conversation at www.entrepreneursrocketfuel.com/Facebook. Today, I'm interviewing Renee Paser-Paull. She is a trauma recovery and resilience expert. Welcome to the show, Renee.
Oh, Kimberly, so happy to be here with you.
Delighted to have you. So tell us a little bit about how you became an expert in trauma and recovery and resilience.
Well, it ended up being a combination of taking my past job experiences with teaching and with training. And this is a bit of a trigger warning, combining it with my personal experience in dealing with a sexual predator who stabbed and raped me.
Oh my gosh. So trauma personally held as well. So my goodness. And you obviously came back and have been resilient since then, being able to create an entire entrepreneurship above and beyond and not being held back by that. That would cripple a lot of people. Tell us, how did you come forward from that experience?
Well, you are right. It definitely cripples a lot of people. And it certainly did that to me for a while in some ways. And in some ways, I found the strength to be able to deal with what happened to me. One of the things that really stood out for me was what happened the night I went to the emergency room after that attack happened. I had two mantras, things that I kept repeating over and over again while I was there. The first one was, I'm not going to let this bastard ruin my life.
Ooh.
And the second one was, could we speed this up, please? Because I have a plane to catch.
All right, just back to reality, but also it sounds like stepping more into power than allowing yourself to be, I don't know if allowing is the right word, but getting drowned by sort of that overwhelm of what just happened.
That was a very lovely way, if such a thing can be said about that type of experience, for you to describe that. Yeah, 3 tenets that I use when I work with people who are trying to come out of this type of situation is to be able to stand in your power. That's the first one. The second one is to release your restraints, the things that are holding you back that incident or those series of incidents created and caused. And the third one is to be able to move forward and create a life that's filled with love and laughter.
Ooh, I love that. So can you go through those 3 again with us? Stand in your power.
Stand in your power.
Release your
restraints. Create a life filled with love and laughter.
Oh, I love that. I bet you work with some really interesting cases. Can you share with us maybe some stories that you've had to come across and how you've helped? Either is it only women or women and men?
I have more commonly worked with women. It's difficult for a lot of people to talk about this, as you might imagine. It tends to be even more difficult for men to discuss than women, unfortunately. I would love to take you back to actually my first person that I coached, who approached me after she heard what I do and talked to me about wanting to work with me. And after we had a few sessions together, ended up asking me why I hadn't helped her move yet, which really threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
We explored that a little bit more. Actually, we explored it a lot more. And as we did that exploration, it turned out that where she was living was where the abuse had happened when she was a little girl.
Oh my gosh. So every day she was waking up facing more of the things that would remind her of the trauma that occurred.
Exactly. So when we uncovered that issue was connected to that place, that's when she was actually able to realize how important it was to release that restraint, as I said in the second instance, and then move on to a point in her life that did give her a lot more happiness.
Interesting that she was saying, why haven't you helped me move? And we were all thinking emotionally moved, but really moved for her was also about the physical geographical place that she was in. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yeah.
Wow, fascinating. And then when she moved, she was able to step into more of that resilience and love.
It allowed her to release a career that she had been doing for years, but she really wasn't happy with.
Mm.
It also allowed her to open up to an activity she'd always wanted to do since she was a little girl and never, when she was younger, been allowed to do. And as an adult, had never given herself the permission to do, which was to ride a horse.
Oh my gosh. So for people who are suffering trauma, which is many, many, many of us, is there a place that you are in where you just don't think you deserve to be able to have the things that you want or do the things that you want because you're not worthy of that?
There is so much shame, blame, and guilt that is associated with these things. The incidents that happened to me that I spoke about was done by a total stranger. And yet I still felt a lot of shame, blame, and guilt for a long time dealing with that. And when it's someone you know, which is the vast majority of cases that have to do with sexual violence, that number just jumps up exponentially. So yes, there's so much more to work your way through so that you can get to the other side of that.
Wow. All right. Well, clearly you are an expert in this area. If people want to work with you directly and they're experiencing some trauma and they'd like to set that free and step into their power and embrace the new possibility of love in their life and joy, how can they reach you?
Well, they can visit my website, and that's soaringpathways.com. So that's soaring like an eagle, and pathways is plural, soaringpathways.com. I can also be reached by email, soaringpathways@gmail.com. And I'd love for anyone who would like to learn more to please reach out.
Fantastic. So if you have a trauma that you're going through and you're ready to step into the resilience possibilities there, or you just don't even think it's possible, maybe it's worth a conversation with Renee before you make that decision final. All right, Renee, it was just such a pleasure to have you here with us, sharing some really, really deep stuff. So thank you for being vulnerable and working with our audience to make sure that they have what they need in order to step forward. Before we let you go, any final words for our crew?
Remember, trauma that you bury stays scary.
Oh, words to live by. Trauma that you bury stays scary. All right, folks. That's it for another episode of Entrepreneur Experts Cafe. I'm Kimberly Crow. We'll see you next time. Cheers.